Hello and welcome to Your Daily Detroit. It is a Friday edition of the show coming to you from the North End studio. And Devin O'Reilly, you are not west of Woodward. You are east of Woodward. You are, well, actually you're west of me by about 4 feet.
Yes, I am in studio here live. It's a balmy, got to be like 60 degrees at this point. It feels pretty good to be here. It feels good to be here and it feels good in here.
Oh, yeah. And I tell you, it feels good because we've got a couple of drink recommendations this week. One, let's start out with what we drank yesterday because you and I decided to have St. Patrick's lunch.
Yes, we did. We got together. It was a confluence of a couple things happening. We had it St. Patrick's Day, of course, but we also had March Madness and we had 70-degree weather. And so you and I decided we needed to get together and experience some of this for ourselves.
It was so great to see people on Michigan Avenue, people just happy and enjoying themselves. It was, it was busy, but it was not a crush of people, which it was a great extended lunch. And I think we hit 3 stops, right?
We did. We did a quick power couple hours of lunch. We hit 3 stops, the Gaelic League. Then we went over to McShane's, which has a great patio outside. Then we kind of circled back to Corktown Tavern, which I had not been to. I mean, truly a dive bar.
My first drink recommendation was not Irish related, whatever, but I was really glad to have, for the first time in a long time, $4 bottle of Schlitz.
That would now give me credit though, Jerry. I did eye that in the cooler first.
You did.
And
you
then
did.
Decided that was the
Props
play.
to you for that. And that was the right play, the right end of the lunch play. That was an excellent choice. And I love myself a good cheap and cheerful food, drink, anything, right? Like when you're paying $4, there can be a lot more like joy had than if you're trying to pay $14 for something. I feel like it raises the bar by like $4. It made me happy. It was great.
Oh, it was fantastic, Jared. Schlitz, if you don't remember, for those who don't remember, it's a very malty. It's got more of a malty kind of taste to it. A lot more flavor than like a Bud Light. Like it's not just some it's not just some random like water beer, like a Bud Light or a Miller Lite or something. It has some malty flavor to it. It's one of the oldest beers in America, one of the oldest breweries.
I would for sure drink a Schlitz over a Bud Light or a Bud any day.
Jared, I was just basic over here, but I will continue to extol the virtues of Guinness beer.
Isn't that in your blood?
It is in my blood. It's probably, my ABV runs a constant point something of Guinness beer in some cases. But, it's really good. I tend to have trouble sometimes with drinking beer and food because you got all the bubbliness and you get kind of, you get burps and whatnot. But Guinness is like such a smooth beer. It goes well. It goes great with food. It pairs well with like, even if you're having corned beef, which we had some, we had hot dogs there. There was Guinness stew. It works well in food. You can cook with Guinness. So that's another advantage.
One of the things that got me really into cold brews was when they do the nitro cold brew and it has kind of the foamy head like a Guinness does. And it's got a similar kind of texture. And I just love that texture and enjoy it a lot. It was good to have a Guinness and a Schlitz with you. I can't say that 10 times fast.
No, it was great. And Guinness is definitely a drinkable beer because it's smooth. It's not a super high ABV. It's like runs around 4.2, 4.3%. So it's definitely something that you can have a few and you're not too tipsy.
And we ran into friends of the show walking down the street. Shout out to Jennifer from Ask Jennifer and All Things Detroit. She's got a great new space over there in Corktown. So that's absolutely wonderful. I want to make sure that people know about that. Now, what do we have in our hands today?
Well, Jer, kind of playing off of the St. Patrick's theme, I wanted to make a drink that incorporated that. And it also incorporated something random that I found in my fridge yesterday. I had bought for my wife some cola syrup, just like you can buy just like cola syrup. Some people say it's like good for your stomach, settle your stomach. So I had cola syrup and I thought, well, you know what this would really work well for is probably like an old fashioned. That would be great. So use it instead of the simple syrup. So I did a little bit, about 2 tablespoons of cola syrup, a little bit of the cherry bitters that I had, and Bushmills. Of course, I went with the Irish theme and did some Bushmills whiskey, and I created a cherry cola fashion that was delicious, Jared. I had one yesterday. I'm having one today. It's going to be my drink for a little while.
There are 3 ingredients in my drink, if you count the ice. Sitting on the studio counter is a bottle of Butcher's Cut Bourbon from Detroit City Distillery.
DCD.
Yep, and it's pretty solid for a 2-year. It's a younger bourbon for sure, right? but it mixes great with your Vernors. So bourbon and Vernors. A bourbon's a bourbon.
Sounds like you had a few bourbon and
The
Vernors.
bourbon, the Werner, the Werner, the bourbon. That's a Swedish chef. But with bourbon and Vernors, the bourbon.
It's a great combo. I mean, it really mixes well together, and a great Michigan Detroit theme there with the local bourbon and the local ginger ale.
All right, let's get into the news. There has come down word from the federal government that I-375, well, it looks like it's going to be a thing. This I-375 turning into a boulevard. This is a story that I have been following, since like 2019. We've been discussing this. The study showed that the project would have no significant environmental impacts. So that's a green light. Design will get finalized, and construction is planned to start in 2027. Now, Devin, this chunk of freeway is controversial. Number one, it was built in the mid-'60s. Number two, it forcibly removed thousands of Black people from Black Bottom. It destroyed the major Black hospital, and healthcare was even more segregated back in the day, where, if you were Black, you were going to a Black hospital. Like that is, I think people who are younger today, I don't think they realize how segregated situations were, and so how much of a dagger in the heart of the community that was. And then you get to all of the community connection points saying, okay, it's still going to be a pretty high traffic area being a boulevard, but getting rid of that ditch, getting rid of those crumbling bridges really will bring together the Central Business District, Lafayette Park, and I think turn a new chapter for the area.
I agree, Jerry. You made some really good points, and I appreciate for our listeners the history lesson of what this freeway destroyed. And when you think about downtown Detroit, everything that we know as millennials, I guess, and anyone younger, is we only know being able to, not being able to walk across. You have these really not good pedestrian bridges if you want to get across.
But it'll tear up your bike tires.
Right. So there was no easy way. It felt so far away sitting in downtown and looking across 375, and that's not how it was initially supposed to be. That's not how it's supposed to be. These neighborhoods should be connected. The Central Business District should be connected with those areas, and it just creates commerce. It creates flow of pedestrians. Hopefully it creates flow of business. This is great. As someone who likes to wander the city, I mean, honestly, that's what I like to do in my spare time, wander the city. This will make wandering the city a lot easier, especially if you're downtown. And I think it's going to be a boon, not only just for pedestrian traffic, but I always think of things in a business mindset and the ease of getting to different, retail, restaurants, things like that. I think you're going to see some sprouting of some small businesses that'll come up there.
And the mile that is deleted of freeway is also, I think, going to have impacts in areas like Eastern Market. It really makes the whole thing a lot more cohesive, and it starts to undo. Now, obviously, you can't undo all the wrongs that were done at this point, but it is a step towards kind of getting the city back to being a city for people. And I think that gets into a conversation that you and I have had a couple of times, where are you designing a city for people to come in and come out of, or are you designing a city for you to stay and be here a while and really build a community? And I think for so long, Metro Detroit, and I know I'm going to hear it. I get it. I know I'm going to get the comments, freeways, but freeways are meant to connect between cities, not to go straight into the heart of them. And I know you've traveled a bit, Devin. The deletion of freeways has made a huge impact on so many downtowns in the nation.
Yeah, exactly, Jerry. I mean, we're following suit with some real smart urban planning that's taking place, and it's really a trend that's gone over well in other major cities of this deletion of freeways, especially ones that cut through central business districts like this one. I mean, looking back, there's no reason why this should have been a freeway in the first place. So that's really kind of undoing some of the failures and mistakes of the past. It's worked really well in other kind of thriving urban cities, and so I think we've been talking about this forever, Jerry. I'm just glad to see it happen.
The wheels on the buses are going to go round and round on some routes again under a proposed $51 million plan for the Detroit Department of Transportation. They're looking to restore weekday service on Claremont and the Tireman routes, plus these federal ARPA funds, which is all about, this rebuilding funds that are coming from the federal government. They could be used to create up to 16 new transit hubs to support the two in the city currently. Now, they wouldn't be of the same size and scale as State Fair and Rosa Parks, but, there's various places throughout the city where you could do enhanced transit. They'll do things like raise the curb so the buses don't have to kneel down, which, speeds things up. Solar power, next bus signage, which would be great and catching up to 2022. Controversially for some, Project Greenlight monitoring. It's good to see kind of looking at how can we improve the physical infrastructure of our buses so that they work better. I mean, this is a topic we discussed years ago when we had somebody on from Wayne State talking about if we just realigned the shelters, things would be better.
Yeah, I mean, this is stuff though. If you're a rider of the bus system, this is stuff you're going to notice, and I think it's stuff that really moves the needle. So you're seeing, 20 million plus go to bus shelters. You're seeing $19 million going to these connection hubs, which is really important. You're getting $4 million towards enhanced fare technology. So it's stuff like, as a user of this system, you are really going to recognize and really feel the impact of.
All right, on the border of Detroit and Dearborn, and I did not realize, sir, that Dearborn went this far east.
A little bit of a geography lesson for you and a reminder for me.
So the new Warren Gateway Trailhead Park is coming, and that is a 4-acre park that will be just west of Livernois, just off of Warren. So isn't that by like the water plant?
Yeah, it's right over there by the water plant. I mean, there's not a ton of commercial density over there, not really a ton of residential density either, but there's a beautiful old water plant. I mean, every time I drove by it as a kid, I remember it looked like something out of a movie. And I didn't realize. My dad would always point out, hey, we've got, the water plant is right here in Dearborn. We probably have some of the cleanest water in the state because we're so close to the water plant. I don't know if that's true or how it works, but I always grew up thinking I was drinking some of the cleanest water because we had this giant water plant nearby. And now there's going to have a park. There's going to be a great park there.
Connected to the Joe Louis Greenway. It'll have a pavilion, fitness equipment, all the park things. Funded by the Wilson Foundation and city funds. It'll be usable this fall and completed in spring of next year. So it's great to see different ways that the Joe Louis Greenway is making an impact. And in areas of town, frankly, before we get on the air, like we don't talk about this corner of Dearborn and Detroit very often.
No, you're right. And that's exactly, I mean, this Joe Louis Greenway, I know you agree, Jared. I cannot wait to ride my bike on it because when you think about all the different things it's connecting, I was just in Corktown the other day and I was telling some visitors from another country about the Joe Louis Greenway and how it goes, back near Michigan Central Station. And there's a point there. And to think, mentally, put your map in your mind, you'll be able to ride your bike from Michigan Central up to where we're saying basically, Warren and Livernois almost. That's going to be really cool. And I think it's just going to connect a lot of disparate neighborhoods and commercial areas.
Staying out west, why don't you tell me about Dearborn Restaurant Week? Because that's a thing.
Dearborn Restaurant Week is underway March 18th through the 27th. So
you've got some time.
You've got some time. We're just on the cusp of it. But it has started. It's a really cool restaurant week. I know people... I hope people are familiar with all of the diverse cuisine that exists in the city of Dearborn. And so they've got a restaurant week. It's similar, but a little bit different to Detroit. So they've got a $15, $25, $40 option for, the different restaurants that you can go to. There's a lot of different participating restaurants, everything from cafes, honestly, Jared, any type of food that you can think of, not just Middle Eastern food, although we know we do that very well, but all sorts of food.
What are a couple recommendations that you have to start?
Oh, this is tough, Jared. But looking at this list, I see a lot of favorites. M Cantina over on the east end of Dearborn, Michigan Avenue, is just incredible. They've got an incredible story. A wife and a husband came over from New York actually, and they just have unbelievable Mexican food, the tacos. They have, he's a master mixologist. It's just a really cool place that kind of a hole in the wall type of place, but really cool. M Cantina, check that out. And then I've mentioned this, I think, on the show before. One of the hidden gems in Dearborn is Tria, which is the restaurant in the Henry Hotel.
I don't remember you mentioning that. Okay.
So the Henry Hotel was the old Ritz-Carlton, but it's basically on the outskirts or outer ring of like Fairlane Mall. If you think about the different the businesses and buildings that are there, it's like a pink, almost like pink quartzy type of building. But in the Henry Hotel, which is a beautiful hotel in its own right, is Tria Restaurant, which is really, really cool, kind of upscale American fare, but nothing too complicated or too expensive. But it's a really, really cool restaurant. It's great, get a good business crowd. They're open for lunch and dinner and on the weekends, and they're consistently one of my favorite places to go in the city. So check those two out among many, many different restaurants and cafes.
And then a couple of things I want to highlight to go to. Of course, there is the Detroit City FC game that me and Fletcher and engineer Randy will be at Keyworth this weekend. But on Saturday, and this is because ever since we aired the episode this week with that guy who was working on connecting Ukrainians that are lost during the war, more people are interested in places and things to do. So there is a fundraising concert at the Ukrainian American Archives and Museum. This is to benefit Ukraine, featuring pianist Volodymyr Vinitsky and violinist Natalia Koma. It's $30. Children 18 under are free. All proceeds are going to aid Ukraine. That is at 9630 Joseph Campo in Hamtramck. So you could do a 1-2 there if you want to check it out. It starts at 6 p.m. on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the Nain Rouge is back.
It's back after a 2-year hiatus. Oh, this is exciting, Jer.
Oh, I mean, as someone who has a direct connection to the voice of the Nain.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I can't tell you that he is more than excited to wreak havoc. This usually happens, every March. It is kind of like our not response, but similar. Detroit is a French, founded city. And so we share some things with New Orleans. And one thing that I wish we had that was a little bit more New Orleans, and I think this is a really strong route to start with, is the float culture, the party culture, the parades. And that's exactly what this is. And if you haven't been, it's a wild, fun time and something you absolutely need to check out.
It's such a great thing especially now, because it's very cathartic, Jared. Because, at the end of the day, what it's all about is blaming the Nain and kind of projecting all of the bad crap and issues that are going on in the Detroit area. Blame it on the Nain and then get him the hell out of here. Banish him for another year.
Is there a Milli Vanilli song like that? Blame it on the Nain.
Jared, that's an older millennial reference. Wow. I think most listeners.
Elder millennials, sir.
I've heard geriatric millennial.
Elder. I'm going to go with elder, not geriatric.
Geriatric millennial.
Just so you know the details, steps off shortly after 1:30 p.m. In that Canfield, area right there, Cass and Canfield. There's a big parking lot over there by the Shinola and
Motor City Brewing.
Got it. That's it. Yeah, right in that area. And then it's going to go ahead and head south on 2nd Avenue, 8 blocks, circle Cass Park, and end at the Masonic. Afterwards, there will be there's the speech from the Nain, and then you go downstairs and there's a party about the Nain. So there's all kinds of fun.
That area is going to be super festive for the entirety of the day. And I'm looking at it, and it looks like we're going to have some pretty decent weather. It could be almost 60 degrees on Sunday. Ooh. And you know what that means?
Huh.
Old Miami backyard is going to be bumping. I have spent many a Nain Rouge after party over at Old Miami. That's going to be a great spot.
That is a dog park for humans.
It basically is, yes.
All right, we are done for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to those behind the scenes making this thing possible. Producer Cheyenne Nosarini, engineer extraordinaire Randy Walker, Fletcher Sharp. I cannot wait to see him and get that Detroit City FC season started. And of course, Devin O'Reilly, good to talk to you.
Great to be here, Jared. Looking forward to doing more of these awesome in-person podcasts with you.
With that, I'm Jared Stays. Remember that you are somebody to take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.